Good day, and welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining me this week for this week's show, Sunday, May 4th through May 10th. I hope you've had a good week as the temperatures slowly rise and we all get a bit warmer. I was thinking that the strong cardinal cross really kept the storms going much longer than we're used to and making for a fairly cold spring. We may see some of these same cycles next year, but eventually things will calm down as the cosmic cross begins to fall apart more as we get into 2015. And we all seem to have survived the cosmic cross, and we can tell things are calming down some. This upcoming week is a lot less stressful. Let's get to this week's daily forecast. Sunday, May 4th. The moon spends the entire day in emotionally supportive Cancer. In the morning, the moon opposes Pluto at 3:49 a.m. We're doing some deep emotional processing, whether we're awake or asleep. The moon sextiles the sun at 4:33 a.m. If you're up early, it's a great time to be doing some yoga or meditation. The moon squares Uranus at 5:20 a.m. As you can see, these are the very same planets involved in the cosmic cross. The moon squares Uranus 5:20 a.m. This transit will cause your mind to be restless early this morning. This may get you up earlier than you're used to, and you may want to keep your agenda very flexible, especially in the morning. The moon conjuncts Jupiter at 7:51 a.m. We're in an adventuresome mood early in the morning. You could find this is a great time for a drive to the beach or just to get away from it all. The moon trines Saturn at 5:44 p.m. Use this time to start organizing and getting yourself ready for the rest of your work week. We will all want our activities to be productive this evening. Monday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The moon starts the day in nurturing Cancer. Our very first aspect, the moon sextiles Mercury at 3:46 a.m. If you're awake, this is a good time for blogging or writing, or you will find it a productive time to do some organizing. The moon is now void of course from 3:46 a.m. until 12:56 p.m. when the moon enters lighthearted Leo. So at 12:56 p.m., the moon finally enters Leo, and we feel more grounded. Later that evening, the moon trines Venus at 7:45 p.m. The energy of this aspect provides a great evening to meet with clients or that special someone. We find that people are more receptive to our ideas and we're more likely to enjoy our creature comforts. Tuesday, May 6th. The moon transits the sign of Leo, the lion-hearted, for the entire day. The sun sextiles Jupiter at 4:54 a.m. We are more open-minded to new or alternative points of view because of this aspect and because it's in effect all day. This would be a wonderful day for any type of business presentation or to attend a class or workshop. This is definitely a day to think outside of the box. On a personal note, it's a time when family members are more willing to get along with each other, even those that usually don't. Later in the morning, the moon sextiles Mars at 9:33 a.m. This is a great morning to tackle any kind of task or project. You will feel more confident this morning and your mood is infectious. Take a risk if you dare. The moon trines Uranus at 5:57 p.m. You're in a very relaxed and upbeat mood this evening. It's a great time to be with your friends or working with a community organization. Change up your evening routines and do something different. And finally, in the evening, the moon squares the sun at 10:15 p.m. Now, this is a good energy to be at home and doing exactly what you want to do. If people expect you to compromise too much, you're likely to be very crabby. Wednesday, May 7th. The moon resides in the determined sign of Leo for the entire day, although she will be void of course for 3/4 of the day. Starting off in the morning, the moon squares Saturn at 5:51 a.m. Be certain that you give yourself plenty of time this morning, or you may feel that you've started your day late from the start. And we're all feeling a bit cranky this morning. The moon is now void of course at 5:51 a.m., very early in the morning, until Thursday morning at 1:24 a.m. That means that we're almost going 24 hours. When the moon enters routine-oriented Virgo the next day. So the moon on Wednesday is mostly void all day. This is certainly a long void of course moon period. Normally, with long void of course moons, we are not very motivated or as focused as we would like to be. Stick to your current agenda and work at your own pace. Mercury enters Gemini at 9:57 a.m. for approximately the next 20 days. Mercury is our communicator, and Gemini is the sign of communications. Mercury in Gemini is a very good time for marketing, focusing more on our mundane life, and working with the things that are right around us. Mercury transiting Gemini is always good at multitasking. Thursday, May 8th. The moon begins the day, void of course in Leo, but quickly enters the sign of Virgo, the craftsperson, at 1:24 a.m. The moon squares Mercury at 4:25 a.m. This aspect keeps our mind very busy, turning facts over and over. If you're awake, this is a great time for planning, as long as you don't get too obsessive about the details. In the evening, or in the late afternoon, the moon opposes Neptune at 4 p.m. Moon-Neptune contacts tend to create a desire in us to be in a much more relaxed or in a more peaceful environment. All of us are much more focused internally and are ready for some sort of break in our day. If you can get away from work early and take some time to yourself, especially at home, this would be a perfect way to end the day. Friday, May 9th. The moon resides in the regimented sign of Virgo for the entire day. However, she does spend approximately the last 3/4 of the day void of course. I know we're having a lot of them. The moon trines Pluto at 4:06 a.m. If you're sleeping, this is a great time to be processing old emotional stuff via your dreams. If you're awake, you're looking back at your past and feeling somewhat nostalgic. A little bit later in the morning, the moon sextiles Jupiter at 9:47 a.m. This transit provides the morning with great energies for almost any kind of activity in which you'd like to indulge. You will find this morning is favorable for work, for being with friends, or just using it to get out of town to get to some vacation spot. The moon trines the sun at 3:16 p.m. This transit provides great energy for being practical, reliable, and for focusing on a positive outcome for whatever projects you may be working on during this time. People are more open and receptive with this aspect. The moon sextiles Saturn at 5:08 p.m. If you have to work late, this is a great aspect to have. You're keen to make your time useful and productive and to finish the task at hand. And always, with Moon-Saturn contacts, it's a great time to plan for the future. The Moon is now void of course 5:08 p.m. on Friday until Saturday at 12:19 p.m. when the Moon finally enters Libra, the sign that seeks harmony and balance. And let's talk about Saturday, May 10th. The Moon begins the day, void of course, in detail-oriented Virgo, and she'll spend half the day void of course. Plan your important activities after 12:19 p.m. The Moon enters spatially conscious Libra at 12:19 p.m., and we are all feeling much more grounded. The Sun opposes Saturn at 1:28 p.m. Since this aspect is in effect all day, it will help to compensate for some of the lack of motivation that the void of course Moon is giving us in the morning. Sun-Saturn aspects are indicative of very reflective, evaluative, and goal-oriented times. During this time, you will want to look at things very realistically, and sometimes this can cause us to be more negative than we need to be. Saturn as an archetype represents the internal parent, and depending upon how comfortable we are with that archetype, this will determine whether or not that part of yourself is supportive or is the critic. Since the choice is yours, choose carefully. And remember, always with Saturn, do the best you can and learn to be happy with that, since you are your own judge. There are no more lunar aspects for the rest of the day. Even though the Moon is not void of course, we may not be as focused as we would like to be. And as I said earlier, it will be helpful to have the Sun-Saturn opposition to give us some structure for our Saturn day. Keep your expectations very realistic and try not to take yourself too seriously. As you can tell, we're having a much less stressful week, but we do have those long void of course Moon times. And that will tend to happen when the Moon moves through mutable signs of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. We may not see a real shift in this pattern really until the middle of 2015. And for those of you that have been asking for a personal session with me, I will need your birth date, birth time, and birth location before the session. You can see me in my office, or I work over the phone and on Skype. You can always reach me via Lilly Roddy Show at AOL.com, LillyRoddyShow.com, The Lilly Roddy Show on Twitter, Pinterest, and Facebook. Generally in a session, I look ahead for about the next 18 months or so, depending on the overall chart for that person. I always cover relationship and career topics, since most of the people ask about those topics in particular. Thank you for joining me today so I can share my astrological points of view with you about the upcoming week. Join us next week when I'll be covering May 11th through May 17th for 2014. This is the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.